Bien, como vamos un poco retrasados, voy a entrar directo a las preguntas.
We're delayed, so let's go on to the sessions, to the questions. Okay, Dani Lopez from the Geo Center, the relationship concerning something about risk between federation, state, and federal level, municipal level. Dani, can you help me out? I can't read. We can't hear in the booth.
Sí, me da la impresión de que lo que tú expones, a veces llegas a un detalle muy amplio a nivel local. Se espera que se pueda hacer todo eso a nivel nacional o hay algunas cosas que las va a hacer el Estado y otras cosas que las va a hacer el municipio. Porque, por ejemplo, particularmente a nivel local se requiere, por ejemplo, de datos, digamos, de alta resolución para cartografiar, por ejemplo, las áreas expuestas. Sí. Bien,
Bien, como intenté hacerlo ver en la presentación.
As I tried to show you during my presentation, this is not only an effort carried out by SINAPRED. It's impossible just for one institution to be able to do this alone, the largest. As a matter of fact, it's not possible. Therefore, this is many efforts come together. So concerning danger, the danger, in other words, the flood polygons, different agencies, federal agencies, CONAGUA, IMTA, SENAPRED, CONAGUA, the Power Commission, CFE, and Water Commission, we're working on this, the different return periods, speeds, permanence of water. And on the other hand, concerning vulnerability issues, well, different are the federal agencies that are working or that we should be working concerning our specific exposed system. I am interested particularly in creating just small stores. So I do classify and I carry out vulnerability studies of those small moms and pop stores. So I will be in charge of that. And if my neighbor, what he's interested in is hotels, then my neighbor will have to work on it, or maybe he will give it to somebody else to know that somebody's doing and working on their sectors, per sector. And this is something more of a federal level. At a state, municipal level, it's a little bit more difficult. And the first impediment, well, we can all think about it and imagine it is no money, no funds for studies, for visits, for measurement campaigns, nor for field work. Therefore, this is due to the size of these institutions at a federal level. But however, we're not excluding the entities at a federal, state level, nor schools, nor research centers. No, nobody. Anybody who wishes to be part of it can be part of it. No microphone is being used.
No duplicar información. O sea, que creo que es muy importante porque los recursos siempre son escasos y muchas veces la información que ustedes generan, si migra hacia el Estado y el Estado hacia el municipio le absorbe información. Creo que es en ese sentido que iba.
Sí, bueno, no lo comenté, pero cuando mostré el mapita
I didn't say anything about it, but when I showed you the progress map, if you were interested, there were more, rather than polygons, we were speaking of little dots. Those are flooding dots, and if you zoom in, these are flooding polygons for the main cities found in that area, thanks to the state risk atlas. Therefore, SENAPRED is working with the states not validating, but helping out, guiding, and saying where and how to do it, so that the states may create their own risk atlases concerning the floods. We help them out with methods, and if there's a lack of information, you should use this other information for topography purposes. Well, you can use these models if it doesn't belong to INEGI or a Japanese one, or the U.S. method.
Entonces, también no se está, hasta el momento, ¿no? Estamos evitando
We are avoiding duplicating work when we consider what is being done at a state level and municipal level. Some of these municipalities have their own atlases. Dr. Jorge Lira, two specific questions concerning your method. The first question comes from Daniel Lopez from the Geo Center. Could you mention three bodies of water? Could you speak of the differences? Yes, of course. Now, in the charts, we have two large groups. The difference basically is the following. There are bodies of water which have a relatively small area and a relatively large perimeter. A very strange perimeter has a very large area, and the other way around. When you carry out the coefficient, you can see that difference. The other question comes from Miguel Valverde. Which is the advantage of handling texture models for binary images for a flood patches, enclosed images? Texture models are not handled on the binary images. They're on the original image. The radar image, which has been filtered, conveniently filtered by the speckle one, it's filtered. This is an image with different shadows of gray, and it's uploaded in the texture model. And once it's in there, there's a classifier with a blurry image, and then you can create this binary image, and it comprehends two classes, the bodies of water and the remainder of the image. Thank you. Dr. Ramiro Rodríguez received two questions, one concerning specific work in the state of Guanajuato, and the other has to do with doubts, geological doubts here in Mexico City. Germán Sanchez is asking us with which federal agencies do we work to get information on water use. There is an institution which unfortunately haven't been doing things too seriously. We basically work with the water boards and with the municipal entities at a state level commission. Well, I'm truly sorry to say the following. There are people that have no willingness, do they wish to do things right. So things are extremely complicated. Therefore, at a municipal department, they do know what they're doing. They do take the trouble to find out. And Guillermo Nagano from the UAM asks us, what happens with the phreatic levels, and if this can be related with a lot of these problems. Now, concerning the groundwater, are associated rather to subsidence phenomena. Not only do we see Chalco going down, but the airport, the area called Gustavo Amadero. While we extract water where there's gravel underground, the levels will go down. And of course, these holes have much to do not only with the phreatic levels. I think the groundwater, the level is definitely lower. There are smaller aquifer or bodies of water, but the problem are the leaks that occur. As additional information, in Mexico City, we lose due to water leaks, not homes, in the households, out on the streets, the same amount of water that we get from Cutzamala at an extremely high economic price. And this, of course, together with drainage, the quality definitely is lower. So, of course, we start facing stability issues, but it doesn't have much to do with the groundwater level, but other types of problems. This same question is from Marco Antonio. Now, in the invitation conveyed from my friends of INEGI, told me that I could be the moderator and could make remarks. So thank you for this attribute. To ask Dr. Welsh, he was saying that we need quality information, and Daniel was speaking of the need to tie the information at the three governmental levels. Sometimes we are quite creative, and the same thing, the same object is being called with different names depending on the humor discipline or the specific objective in mind. And of course, this makes things very difficult. And sometimes we're just speaking of the same cell phone. Some call them just small phone, BlackBerry, or communication instrument or device. In the end, we're just speaking of the same thing. We just call it differently, so we carry out different analysis. Therefore, Doctor, you were speaking of quality information. What is it for you? And you were speaking of the possible difference between the greenhouse effect gases, the difference between them, the scopes, the concepts considered, the methodology, and so on and so forth. At a national level, it goes top down. At a state level, bottom up. So methods are not necessarily the same. Which are the quality attributes where you can see that we can move forward, reliability of the information, something concerning this? It's difficult. We're all very tired.
But very quickly, in terms of inventories, in order to carry out the use of soil change in forest areas, there is no agreement between the indicators and the long series of data available because, say, one type of classification was used in one place and in another one it was grouped together differently. So automatically, you can no longer use it because methodology is standardized. You can have no changes with what the federal district is doing as compared to Veracruz or Puebla, etc. The thing is, you are asked for a long series of information for over a 5-year period at least, with characteristics, with no lacking information, that it should come from a reliable source. And the fact that they are not classified, you lose quality, so it's better not even to report that. That's something we have to bear in mind. And in general terms, the way that we can carry out an inventory in both situations, we have to do it top down, because even if we wanted to do it from the bottom up, then regrettably we don't have enough technical capability to do this. Now, regarding meteorology, we have much missing information, and so we need to try to rebuild this series and validate it. And this leads to a grave conflict, because you have to decide what your best source of information is to estimate what is transpiring, nor do we have a long history of information in Mexico. Yesterday, one of our speakers talked about flooding as of several centuries ago, and our colleagues from Veracruz also had 5 centuries of information. But those are just little dots. When you're building a history, that is not enough to generate information. It's data, but it's not precisely information. There's an open-ended question from Leticia Palma for everyone. What is your concept of the water footprint as concerns climate change? Who wishes to answer that question? I think everybody's hungry. Okay, if we don't have any additional questions from our participants, one last question, and then we close. No microphone. No microphone in use. No microphone in use. All right. In effect, I did say that based on the INEGI census, we were able to identify such and such and such based on INEGI statistics. Now, since in 2010, that was no longer published by INEGI. Plan B, then, is that which was developed at the Autonomous University of the State of Mexico. And that was minimum, maximum, and most probable damage scenarios. Microphone, please. We would ask the moderator to use a microphone, please. And consulting with the users, and not just the way you do it, where we select functions of vulnerability and from that determine what is going to be measured. The census also has to determine what questions and what characteristics should be included in the surveys. However, we shall take note from my colleagues because they are already carrying out the 2015 census plans, and I will be in touch with them directly to determine if it's possible to include those variables once again. And I apologize, but concerning the fact that the figures don't match for the change of plant cover and soil use in the territory. José Luis could possibly answer more on that. Now, there being nothing further to add at this time, I would like to thank you all on behalf of the Institute for taking part in the seminar. Dr. Welsh, please, we have a token of recognition for you. And I would thank everyone at this time. Now, the presentations and the videos, all that we have done during this seminar will be uploaded on the INEGI website. And you have the link to that. That is how you enrolled. And it is also in the binder that you received. Thank you all very much. We are also going to have some brief conclusions from the moderators, and we will try to include them as well so you can download them. Thank you very much to the Geophysics Institute, to the UNAM, and to each one of you for your presence. Of course, we thank our panelists, our speakers, for their great support and for sharing their knowledge with us at this time. Good afternoon, everyone.